What's the biggest difference between an edit taking 8 to 10 hours versus 5 or 6 hours? It's how efficient you are as a video editor. If you're getting paid per project, not per hour, which is how I get paid for most of my work, then time is money. How quick you can get an edit done determines how well paid you get per project. I'm going to be getting paid the same amount whether the edit takes me 10 hours or 5 hours. So obviously, the less time and the more efficient that I can be on an edit, the better it is for my work. Over the past few years, I've learned a couple of tips on how to become a more efficient video editor. Today, I want to discuss those and share some of my tips with you. Since I work with a lot of different creators, one of the things I've done is I've created template files. So as you can see right here, this is my template file for Curryway, a Minecraft speedrunner, one of the most popular Minecraft speedrunners, and I've been working with him on and off for about 4 years now. And this is the current state of my current template file for him. So I have this Curryway asset sequence right here, which has just a bunch of different assets that I commonly use. So you'll see that I have them named. So E-Ray, this is to help locate one of the structures in a Minecraft speedrun. So I'll show a visual right here, but what I can do is instead of needing to recreate this red rectangle shape, I can just copy paste it from this asset sequence into the main sequence whenever I need to. The same goes with any of these other shapes that I need to highlight as well. I also have this preset adjustment layer for a timer blur and a couple other assets as well. But the big thing when it comes to these template files is the assets that you preload into them. So all this is this is a Premiere Pro template project that I've preloaded with all of the assets. So any of these Curryway green screen files of him just punching Minecraft, which I used for like voiceovers and that sort of thing, I have those preloaded. I also have all of Curry's emotes preloaded. So one of the ones I use most often is this Curry Despair one. The Curry Heart is also fairly frequently used, but I just have all of these preloaded. So no matter what emote I need for his video, it is preloaded into the sequence, so I don't have to go into my Windows File Explorer and edit every time. I also have a bunch of other assets. I have a bunch of Minecraft textures preloaded in, a bunch of food that are commonly used in speedrun, common items in speedruns. You get the gist at this point. And a couple other common textures. So I have this VHS filter overlay for rewinds and flashbacks. I have a couple of different ones that I use. I have this white highlight element, so if I want to highlight any piece of the screen, I can just grab this. Again, the whole point of this template project is to save time, so I'm not constantly editing, realizing, oh, I need to get some sort of a graphic to highlight a visual, or, oh, I need to throw on this Minecraft thing, so let me go into my File Explorer and go find the folder. Next up, I want to talk about the template project that I use for Dobbs Gaming video. This sequence is actually a lot more involved than the one for Curryway. As you can see, there are a lot of preloaded assets in this Dobbs assets. So we have in this video and a couple of different variations of it. So I have this motion graphic, but I also have just plain old different subtitles. So if he starts the video with in this video or today or my friend and I, all I have to do is instead of generating the subtitles again, I can just come into the sequence, copy paste, yada yada, you get the idea. A couple other common ones, so a lot of the times we'll pop up 3 different Pokemon, so I have the 3 sound effects for the Pokemon pops, and I'll just throw in different Pokemon depending on what the video is about, if it's about legendary Pokemon or starter Pokemon or whatever the gimmick may be. This right here is for an older format that we did where you would buy different Pokemon. So what I would do is I would create a different layout of characters. So it doesn't have to be by Mario. It could be like by Pokeballs or by legendaries. And all I'd have to do is I could go into my miscellaneous assets folder. I could right click on buy Mario 2, right click, and then replace the footage. And then because I had created all of these in the same Photoshop file, then I could just easily replace this. That's another quick way of becoming more efficient. Just make it drag and drop easy. One of the things that Dobbs likes to do in his videos is use these different borders. So I have a green border and I have a blue border. Dobbs is always going to have the blue border, and then whoever the guest of the video is going to get this other border. Once I have these borders set up, what I would do is in my main sequence here, similar, you can notice that I have a guest face cam and a Dobbs face cam sequence. So these sequences are for Dobbs and whoever the guest of the video is, and I can just drag their face cam footage into here. They'll get the border color. But then in the main sequence here, what I do is I drag and drop these borders on the side, and you'll notice that they are at scale 50. So these aren't just a simple drag and drop. If, for example, I go and drag and drop this Dobbs background blue over here, you'll see it doesn't show up. So every time I would have to drag and drop it in, I'd have to change the scale to 50, and then it shows up. By having it preset at scale 50 in my template sequence here, I don't need to drag and drop it in ever. Quick copy, paste it into my other sequence. Yeah, at this point, I think you get the gist on how useful a template sequence can be with how many assets I have preloaded, from sound effects to different graphics to different sort of shapes in my timeline. There is a lot of time saved by just having these in my timeline and not having to recreate them. So with that being said, I would recommend making a template project after about 2 or 3 videos whenever you work with a client for the first time. And once you kind of get into a format, you have the template file set up, and it's just set up every time you need to start. I do, however, want to show off real quick that I do have a general project template. So even if you don't have recurring clients yet, you can make just a general project template of files that you think you are going to use very often. Now mine, I don't use this default project template file too much anymore. I generally have project files for most of the creators I work with. I haven't been working with a ton of new clients over the months. But you see I have this preloaded with a couple of common sound effects that I use. The Vine Boom, the mouse click, O2 MP3 Quiet is just a swoosh sound. These are just common sound effects that no matter what type of video you're working on, whether it's a gaming video or it's a tutorial type video, these are sound effects that have very wide use cases, and it's why I preload them into this project, because I know that no matter what project I'm working on, there's a fairly high likelihood that I'm going to. I also have in my miscellaneous here, I have a preset font. Since I work with gaming videos a lot, this Riffit basic style is just a font that I can kind of just throw on any video if I'm working on any random project. So let me just throw that test file on here. If I need to, I can just drag and drop that test, and that subtitle is going to look good on most gaming videos. So that's generally what I use this template for if I'm working with a new gaming creator for the first time. It's just a standard like starter font, and if they request a specific font, I can obviously change that. But if they're a smaller creator or they're just starting out and they don't have their sort of branding identified yet, it's nice to just have a font that I can just drag and drop, not think about too much. I also have adjustment layers preset up. Otherwise, it's a bit of a hassle to go project, new, adjustment layer, create a new adjustment layer. It's really easy to just, again, have the adjustment layer set up. I think I'm repeating myself at this point, but what I want to show with this specific project template is that even if you don't have recurring clients yet, you can still save time and become a more efficient video editor by having a template. So I kind of touched on this the last time that I did a video last summer, but macros and keybinds and just knowing your shortcuts, it saves a lot of time while you're editing. So this project right here is a recent video that I did for Curryway. So one of the things you'll notice in this video early on, and something that I do in a lot of my Minecraft videos, are these quick block breaking sequences. So let me show you this sequence right here.
It is. Yes. Okay.
So what each of these is, this is a 5-frame cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for every time that he mines a stone block or a wood block. So let me just put a marker there so I can find it in the full footage right here. So what's going on right here is he's mining these stone blocks. Now, typically how you'd go about doing this, or how I would go about doing this, is I would press the Q keybind. This is a ripple delete to the left, shift arrow key over, press S, and that, which is my add edit keybind, and that creates a cut. The other thing you notice is that I will mark all these clips yellow. So what I usually do is, let's just put it to right there. I'll mark this entire clip as yellow. And this is just a color label that I use to know that this is going to be a block breaking sequence. So when I'm doing my rough cut, I'll just leave this marked as yellow. And when I get to adding in the music and effects later on, I can decide whether I want to just do a quick cut like this, or if I want to do it sync to the music, which I've done in some other videos like this example. But here's where you can save time with a Stream Deck. So on my Stream Deck, I have 2 different keybinds for a boom cut, which is what I call them. Right? And basically all it does is it takes this Q shift arrow S and turns it into just one button press. So I can just leave my hand over on my Stream Deck and then use my mouse to position for the block breaking. And sometimes you do it too fast and the keybind comes out a little bit late. But what you'll notice is that every time that I do this block breaking sequence, so let me just undo a bunch, show it. So what it saves me time is, instead of taking my hand off my mouse and to my arrow key, as you can see, I can just leave my hand on my mouse. So whenever I'm ready, I think you see the point that I'm trying to make here, is that it is a more efficient way to do these sort of cuts. And that's something that you can do with a Stream Deck or any other macro pad. There's a bunch of them out there on the market, but the Stream Deck is, I think, the most widely available and the one that is the most widely known. This is one of the biggest ways that I've been able to save time with my Stream Deck. Let me also show my other boom cut that I do. So sometimes a 5-frame boom cut feels a little too fast, so I have a boom cut that does 15 frames, and all it does is it does an extra few shift to the right. So it'd look like Q, and then shift, 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 and then F. But instead of doing it, I just press one button. That's all it is. You'll also notice that I have some color labels on my Stream Deck here. I only have 4 of them. If I had a bigger Stream Deck, I'd probably do more of them. But I have presets for tan, yellow, blue, and teal. So the default color is this blue iris color. But then I have these other 4. So instead of needing to right-click, label, and then find the color that I want, say yellow, it's just one press. Now, you could argue that you can just press a keybind. I thought I had it set to Control Y, but I guess I don't have it set to Control Y for yellow. But again, what that difference is that there's only so many keys on a keyboard that you can just press once and it'll do it. There's only so many letters on a keyboard. So if you want to dedicate an entire key on your keyboard to a color, eventually you're going to have to start adding in modifiers like Shift, Control, or Alt. It's so much easier to just press one button on a Stream Deck instead of having to press 2 buttons on a keyboard. And over time, it will save you time. Obviously, it's only saving you fractions of a second or a second or two, but over the course of an entire year of editing videos, it will save you time, especially if you are still right-clicking, labeling, and finding the color that you want. As you can see, I use the blue at the start here for the voiceover. So this blue is the voiceover for the intro. I didn't mark the voiceover for the rest of the videos blue, just to distinguish from what is voiceover and what is intro voiceover and what is voiceover for the actual. Before I move on from the subtitles, actually, what you'll notice is I have an entire button dedicated on my Stream Deck to subtitles. So what goes on this page is I have a bunch of common phrases that I end up using in subtitles. So in these Minecraft speedruns, for example, one of the common things is when you're measuring your Eyes of Ender, you are looking for an angle change, which obviously is this red rectangle that I already have a preset graphic for my Query assets. But this angle change is an angle degree. So, for example, let's pretend it's a 5-degree angle change. I can just press this button and I have the degree symbol. There is no degree symbol on my keyboard. So otherwise, what I would do is I would have to go into Google, search up degree symbol, and then copy paste it into here. Because I have it on my Stream Deck, every time that I'm editing and looking for the degree symbol now, it's just one click away on my Stream Deck. There's other ones on here as well. For example, on the Dobbs videos, when I'm working with Pokemon creators, I have presets for Pokemon and just Poke. So for example, if I'm doing like a Pokedex or a Pokeball, I haven't found a need to replace either of them. There isn't any other word that I found to be particularly more useful. I have other common like stutters, all right, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, oh my god. Because those are a lot of typing. Again, you would have to take your hands back to your keyboard, off your mouse, whenever you're cutting, to add in the oh my goodness especially, and then subscribe in Minecraft again. I also have emojis, so I have a page full of emojis that I commonly use. These don't show up great in Discord, if at all, or I don't know why I said this. They don't show up great in Premiere. Like obviously there are emojis, but typically I would prefer to just grab an emoji PNG and add them on. That's another big thing that a Stream Deck does that you can't really do on your keyboard. You otherwise would have to type it out manually. You can obviously auto transcribe, but the auto transcription isn't always perfect, especially with some of these more niche gaming sort of words that I like to subtitle, like Pokemon. It'll often miss the E in the Pokemon, which is why I have them here. So the last thing I want to showcase on my Stream Deck is this easy cut button. The other buttons on here, hide, unlink, the paste and remove attributes, are fairly self-explanatory, but this easy cut is for very niche circumstances where sometimes when you're recording in your software, the starting edge is all very even, as you can see when I zoom in right here. But when I go to the end, you'll see that there's this odd frame at the end that makes it really kind of awkward. And it's not a huge deal in this case because obviously like I'm not using this last segment of footage anyway. But when you're working with, say, like a number of different recording files, and these little edges can get really annoying. So what I do is I have this easy cut button, which again is a macro, and you'll see what it does here. And I'll probably throw up an image of the Stream Deck macro as well, but when I press it, it will trim the edge of both the start and the end by 5 frames. So now that there's a smooth cut, and let's say that I had some more footage over here, I can just ripple delete it, and instead of doing the awkward thing where what would happen otherwise is I would try to ripple delete this footage right here, and now there's an overlay, and if I press W, now there's just these two hanging frames, and if I try to hit Q and ripple delete, it gets awkward, as I'm sure you can tell. So the easy cut, it just removes any of that hassle. So again, I'm going to show you when I drag and drop in here, we can zoom in and I can show you exactly what goes on here. It trims off that little edge and it makes it really easy to ripple delete, and then I can press Control-Shift-D to add an audio crossfade, which I've set to 8 frames, which is a little bit less than the 10 frames that got cut out, but it's a fairly nice sort of little cheat. The 8 frame crossfade is something that I found make most cuts not sound as harsh, especially if there's a fairly tight cut. But yeah, that's all the easy cut does, and that's again another macro that is really only possible on my stream. So next, what I want to focus on is my mouse. This is the Keychron M6. It's the video that I made last summer. It's about how this mouse has been a big game changer for me as a video editor. So what I want to showcase right here is how I actually program them. So when I'm working on these shorts for Vandy, there's often a Pokemon that I like to add its Pokemon cry for, and I have an entire database of all the Pokemon cries. So when I drag and drop it right here, this cry is going to be very loud, as you can see. So what I do is, instead of going up here, I can type in -20, which is usually what I like to set these Pokemon cries to. Or what I can do is, instead, I've programmed my 2 mouse buttons on the side here to be volume control. So I can now just hold this down and it's set to -20. When you're adding in a lot of sound effects, so obviously this sequence isn't crazy. These shorts are not too intensive to edit for Vandy, but obviously when you're working on a video that involves a lot of sound design, instead of manually like dragging and trying to get it to like exactly the right volume that you want, being able to just control it with a simple +1, -1 on my keyboard is really nice. Now, you can just set this again as a keybind. This is a shortcut, nudge volume by +1 or -1 dB, or you can do +3 or -3, but I like having the +1 control to really hone it down to values that I like, and it's definitely something that saves me time when I'm working on any sort of gaming video that I work on that involves any sort of sound design. Being able to control the volume just on my mouse, again, not having to take my hand off my mouse. I can keep my hand on my mouse, give my other hand on my keyboard. Really helpful, means I'm not going back and forth, wasting a little bit of time doing that and making me more efficient. The other big change, which I'm sure you've seen me do, is that I have my scroll wheel on the side here set to zoom in and out of my timeline. So if I want to, say, grab these intro files, I can just copy them and then zoom out and then paste them. What the alternative is you use your mouse cursor and you drag out like this, and then you go here and then zoom in like that, and like you can just tell it is way faster for me to just use this scroll wheel to zoom in and out on any part of the timeline. You can see how much I'm using this scroll just to save me time. People got on my ass for calling this a vertical scroll wheel. I'm calling it vertical because I flick it vertically, even though it is on the side of my mouse and not whatever. That's not the point. The point is, if you can get a second scroll wheel that you can use with your thumb, it is a game changer when it comes to video. Yeah, that's all I have to say on macros and keybinds. If you use any specific macros or keybinds in your video edits that you think are really helpful, be sure to leave a comment down below. I obviously don't know everything. These are just the keybinds and macros that I use, and I am still learning myself. So yeah, if you have anything that you think is a great keybind that makes you a more efficient video editor, be sure to leave it in the comments down below. Maybe consider subscribing while you're down there. I probably won't post another video till next year, but it'd be cool. And now it is time for some voiceover. I've hinted at it a lot throughout the video, but having an organized file structure makes it very easy and efficient to get assets when you need them for an edit. Knowing where your sound effects are or organizing GIFs into subfolders helps me when I'm deep into an edit and I'm looking for a specific file. For footage, I've created folders for different creators that I work with, and I create new folders whenever I start a new video to put all the raw footage into, plus any other graphics specific to that video. For example, this is what the folder looks like in this video I edited for Curryway, where he kills the Wither in a speed. You'll see the raw footage files, but you also see screenshots and other graphics that I used in the video. What stays in this folder is anything that I believe is unlikely to be reused in another edit. They will stay in these subfolders until I archive. Any graphic that I want to download for this video that I believe has potential use in the future will go into another folder, which I will get into later. For music, I have 2 different structures. One for video game music and one for stock music. Video game music is sorted by game, and for larger series like Mario and Pokemon, sorted even further into subfolders. And to be very honest with the frequency that I use some of these VGM music folders, I just know where a lot of the tracks are located in the folder at this point. That's something that really only just comes with time and experience. However, for stock music, I've created folders for each platform of stock music that I've downloaded from, and then generally I'll sort by genre or mood from there. I take a similar approach for any stock photos or stock assets that I download, sorting by platform and then categorizing them into subfolders from there. Now, as I kind of touched on earlier, I'm not going to go into much detail, but I recommend creating a good archiving system for final exports and project files as well. You don't always need to keep the raw footage, but at least archiving final exports is something that I found to be quite useful. Not only if the creator needs the final export again, or if it comes up in a future edit where you need to reference a video that you've already finished. The last bit I want to touch on with file organization is file syncing between multiple systems. This has not been easy, as I've often found myself downloading a sound effect or an asset, or even starting an entire project file on my PC, and then forgetting to transfer it with an external drive over to my laptop. As you could probably expect, this ruins my flow state and any momentum that I had with editing or even just getting started sometimes. So that leads me to the solution that I got a few months ago: network attached storage. It has been a game changer. Using the ASUS EasySync software, I was able to create a folder on my NAS with all of my assets: emotes, custom freelance graphics, gaming assets, GIFs, memes, sound effects, stock assets, and more. And once I set up the folder on my NAS, I just told the software to mirror it to a specific folder on both my laptop and my PC. Now, whenever I download a new sound effect, it goes into the sound effects folder, EasySync will sync it to the NAS, and then the next time I switch over to my other system, EasySync will then sync that new sound effect to that system. Since using this software, I've had minimal issues with not having files I need in my assets folder, and it's been such peace of mind, and it was absolutely worth the kind of steep upfront cost of around $800. But I do also have over 20 terabytes of storage space on the NAS, and I'm barely using 30% of that currently, meaning that this should last me for years, if not more than a decade. Yeah, those are my quick tips on how to become a more efficient video editor. I hope that you found some of these tips useful. This is obviously all based on my own personal experience, so what works for me and the types of videos that I edit might not work for you if you're editing, say, music videos or commercial work. I obviously edit mostly in the gaming niche, so these tips are what has worked for me, editing gaming videos. But I hope that some of these tips are a little more universal and apply to whatever types of edits you are working on. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you have any ideas on how to become a more efficient video editor, or if you do something different to how I do it. I'm open to becoming a more efficient video editor myself. I absolutely don't know everything. Yeah, that's going to be about it for this video. I will see you in 2026 when I decide to get off my ass and make another one. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you really care enough. And yeah, if you got something useful out of this video, thank you for watching.